The work session of November will come to order. We're going to start with agenda item number 3. Rob, consideration of a bid recommendation for DPW Fleet Acquisition, 1 4x4 pickup truck and 1 2.5-ton dump truck. You got the floor. You have the floor, Rob.
All righty, thank you, sir. The department had put together a purchase request. Hertridge Fleet has the state of Maryland contract for a purchase of one of the Dodge Ram 4x4 pickup trucks, and Apple Ford has a Montgomery County contract for the purchase of a 4x4 small dump truck with a plow. Both of these will not increase the fleet. These are in the replacement program. Funds are provided in the 2018-2023 fleet replacement CIP program. The Dodge Ram pickup truck runs $28,417, and the Ford F550 small dump is $52,142.76. So it's recommended that the Mayor and City Council approve the purchase of these two vehicles for a total of $80,559.76.
All right. Questions of Rob?
I have a question. So what happens to the vehicles that are being replaced?
Well, the pickup truck that's being replaced is almost 14 years old and is getting to a point where it's not cost effective to try to keep it around. And I believe that the little dump truck is presently in Parks and Recreation, and that one's approaching or right around 12 years old, and it's starting to get a lot of miles because of idle time and stuff. So it's starting to cost us to keep it in service.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nicholas. Mr. Ricks?
I have nothing.
Thank you. Ms. Crary?
It comes with a snowplow, and is it replacing one with a snowplow?
This one will come with a snowplow, and the one it's replacing did not have a snowplow. So we're adding an additional snowplow for the Parks and Recreation Department.
And can it be detached during off-season?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crary. Rob, we're in good shape for a snow season as far as the narrower trucks that we need for some of the cul-de-sacs and so on. Is that correct?
That's correct. Everything we've been purchasing over the past several years has the ability of having plows and some salt inserts put in them so that these cul-de-sacs can be cleaned properly where the larger trucks can't get into them. We've actually got separate routes designed just for the small trucks now to go out and keep with, like in the courts, the cul-de-sacs, some of the streets that aren't really wide enough, A Street, Avondale, Post Office, 4th,
right.
I can't get the larger trucks down them. Okay. So unless we declare an emergency and we restrict parking on those streets, yes, the smaller trucks have to go and do those.
Excellent.
Mr. President, I do have a question when you get a chance.
Go ahead, Mr. Ricks.
Okay. This is our first Dodge pickup. Is that correct?
No, we've got, this will be our 4th or 5th. The Fire Marshal's office has 2. Public Works has 1. And we're looking to add another one.
What is our experience so far with that vehicle?
The trucks that we've purchased, we haven't had any real major issues. Everybody that's got them, they're extremely roomy and they're large inside, and all we're getting is, most of the people that drive them are pleased with how they handle and how much room they have in them.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Ricks. And the Ford dump truck is a diesel?
Yes.
Okay. So we're doing our bit. Okay, so this will be on the agenda for award at the Mayor and City Council meeting on Monday, November 13th, 2017 at 7 p.m. Let's go ahead, and while you're there, Rob, move to number 4, consideration of a bid recommendation to extend contract LA 17-03, Espina Paving Incorporated, add Phase 2 of the Cherry Lane Street Improvement Project. You have the floor.
Yes, sir. Espina had just finished from 4th Street up to Ashford in both eastbound and westbound of Cherry Lane. And we asked them, once the engineering was done, to take a look at what it would cost to do from Ashford all the way to Van Dusen so that we could complete Cherry Lane. And they came in looking, or they put in a bid for $430,000, and we were asking for a contingency of $40,000. Presently, there is $689,695 in the CIP to finish Cherry Lane, which by extending this contract would actually save the city just short of $220,000.
All right, and that'll complete the Cherry Lane Improvement Project, is that correct?
That
The
would
way
take
I
it.
look at, when I looked at the CIP?
Yep, that was going from 4th Street all the way to Van Dusen Road now.
Excellent. All right, questions of Rob? Ms. Crary?
Both sides.
Both eastbound and westbound.
Thank you.
Ms. Nicholas? Thank you, Mr. Ricks.
Yes, I mean, since we're saving $220,000, so to speak, is there something else that we could go ahead and, since they're here and energized, that we can go ahead and do something that's next on our agenda?
Well, the next projects we have are a list of like 6 or 7 streets that were just engineered and completed. I could ask them to take a look at them and give us a bid to see if they were interested in doing it. I believe it's, what is that, Shannon Avenue area, and over there in, off of Oxford, and those areas are next on our list that the engineering just got completed. So I can have them take a look at it and give us a proposal on doing those streets while they're here.
I would encourage you and the administration to go ahead and consider that before winter gets here, if that's at all possible. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Ricks. Michelle?
Mr. President, Mr. Furry and I were discussing the savings. These funds were financed through the loan with PNC. We also had executed the program with the state of Maryland for the other funds. So we're going to need to compare the list of streets that we already have slated for the state funding as compared to what we may be able to do with the remainder of this PNC loan.
Okay, so you'll take a look at that.
There
may not be an
together.
opportunity here, is that what you're saying? Because of the way we've structured the loans, correct?
I've already spoken to our representative at PNC, and she assured me that all we need to do with PNC is to notify them or provide them with a copy of an amending ordinance to the CIP if it's necessary, just to show them when we did the loan, we were financing Cherry Lane and a refuse truck.
Right.
She said it was perfectly fine to add additional streets to the PNC loan. But like I said, we had, when we did the program with the state for that financing, there were a listing of streets that were scheduled for that. So Mr. Furry has another list of streets that we would need to earmark these funds for, but it can be done. It's all available.
Excellent.
We just need to see if we need to do a CIP amendment.
Okay, great. So if there's no objection, we'll go ahead and have this on the agenda for consideration and approval at the Monday, November 13th, Mayor and City Council meeting at 7 p.m. Let's move to agenda item number 1, ordinance number 1923. An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of Laurel amending the code of the City of Laurel, Chapter 20, Uniform Land Development Code, Section 20-43.5, bonds required, and Section 43.9, other types of permit, to provide for an infrastructure protection permit and bond. Mr. Fleming, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. During the flurry of construction activity on the west side of the city, primarily in the vicinity of West Side Boulevard, we had some issues with transfer of property from one developer to another. The issue was primarily with the bonding of existing pavement that was subject to being impacted by construction traffic for new development. We have in the code a section on restoration bonds. However, we determined that that language was somewhat site-specific, so what we did was to amend the code to add for an infrastructure protection bond. This basically takes the place of the old haul road permit. The haul road permit requirement, as it was written, was primarily set up for mining operations. So this infrastructure protection bond affords us opportunity to provide coverage for roadways that are not site-specific but are going to be used primarily by developers for heavy construction traffic. This would serve the city to protect that infrastructure from damage.
Okay, the way I read this, we've got three different kinds of bonds with this one. We've got on-site, off-site, and then we've got this one which will protect infrastructure off-site that may be damaged as they do the work, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and they are all different bonding instruments as I remember it from my planning commission days.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and do they do that with a bond or with a line of credit?
We have accepted lines of credit in the past.
Okay.
In some cases, line of credit is preferred.
Okay, yeah, I just want to remember that in the case of lines of credit, irrevocable lines of credit, until we let it go.
That's correct.
Thank you. Okay. Questions of Mr. Flemian? Ms. Nicholas?
I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Ms. Crary?
Sometimes it's measurable, but other times it isn't. Are we going to get into a situation where they say the road is 10 years old and
The age of the road is taken into consideration. What happens before the bond is issued is we will meet with the developer and or contractor, and we will tour the infrastructure intended to be used for hauling purposes and videotape it to record existing damage.
and if we catch them in another section of city using roadways that they weren't?
Shame on them.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crary. Mr. Ricks?
She kind of picked it up for me, and I appreciate the explanation on the bonds, Mike.
All right. Okay, as you know, the November 13th meeting is the last meeting of this council sitting before we go sine die. So we'll be introducing this with a hearing on November 13th, 2017. I'll ask the council members, if they have any further questions, please direct them to the mayor's office, and I'll ask for a suspension of the rules on that night so we can take care of this business so that there's no business for the new council that's coming on. Is that agreeable? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to agenda item number 2, resolution number 15-17, a resolution to repeal resolution numbers 1503 and 3-14 relating to the City of Laurel Transportation and Public Safety Committee, and to reenact these resolutions into a single resolution with amendments, and to change the name of the committee to the Public Safety and Transportation Committee. The mayor is going to present this item.
Thank you, Mr. President. You may remember we went through all the different committees, and this is one that the next one that we're dealing with. We went back and, as you said, changed the name. One of the things you'll see in the purpose and duties, we added, since we're a member of COG now, we added COG, we added National League of Cities. MML, I think, was always in there, if I'm not mistaken. But to be able to take positions and pass them on to the mayor and council. A lot of the stuff is still the same. Membership, voting members. On page 2, when we talk about the chief of Laurel Fire Department Rescue Squad, we still want to see somebody at the command staff level at the rank of captain or higher. We added one of the director of public works or the assistant director in there. The chair is still a member of the city council who serves as the chair. The vice chair would be elected by the committee members of those voting, and they'll serve for a term of 1 year and can be reelected as well. And that's really just the changes that have been made. Kind of went back to the old committee. If you remember, we had at one time disability on here, transportation, all of those things. I really thought it was important to kind of get back to some of the basics, and that was really the public safety piece as well as the transportation piece on there. So I'll answer any questions you may have, and I think I don't have my book with me on the notes, but I think I captured everybody's comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Questions, Mr. Ricks?
I totally agree. I think it did get a little handy, and I like the changes that have been made, and I look forward to approving it.
Thank you, Mr. Ricks. Ms. Crary?
No comment.
Thank you. Ms. Nicholas?
No comment.
Okay, if we're in agreement, the same process that I explained for item 1 will follow with item 2. We will introduce it and have public hearing at the meeting on November 13th, and I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules so we can move forward with this and get it closed out. Is that an agreement? An agreement from everybody? Agreed. Okay. All right, so let me read something into the record if I could. Statement regarding closed session, Wednesday, November 1st, 2017. The following statement is made regarding the adjournment of the mayor and city council to a closed session on this date. The reason for adjourning to a closed session is to discuss a personnel matter. The authority for this closed session is contained in the general provisions article SS 3-305, B in a bucket, 1 in a bucket. It'll be signed by me, and I'd like Mr. Flumian, our attorney, and the chief to retire with us. Are we going to need the policeman here? And I'm sorry, Ms. Rao and Ms. Crook.
Everybody else, Marty, everybody else can go.
Everybody else can go home, including our police officer. Okay. All right.
Mr. President, we need a motion to...
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get I'll entertain a motion to retire to executive session.
So moved.
Thank you. I have a second, and I have a second. Call the roll, Ms. Rao.
Is that Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Crary?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholas? Yes. President Les?
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.